Where to live abroad or retire abroad? On peanuts, right? You know, what does it cost to do this? What does it cost to rent? What does it cost? Is food expensive? You know, is living there expensive? These kinds of questions are loaded questions. Why? Because different people, now you heard this before, different people will spend different amounts of money, right? And you think when you hear this, well, yeah, everybody has different tastes. You know, some people like steak, other people are going to eat beans. But that's not the complete picture.
We're in a typical Georgian restaurant. We're going to eat some Georgian food.
However you want to do it, you should compare it between these two types of people. So the two different types of people are the type of person that has to ask other people how expensive a place is. Now look, I was there before, okay? And so when you do this kind of thing, you are going to get, there is some accuracy in this. I mean, you can go to some websites and there are expats that report prices and that kind of thing. But this doesn't really tell you the other side of the story. You know, there is another side to this story, which is the foundation for the reason why you see this all over the internet, where we go abroad and yet here we are doing everything. We get the lodging, we get the food, we do the transpo, and we do it all everywhere we go, whether it's Ecuador, whether it's Italy, and yet you have people doing the same things and they're spending 2 to 3 times as much. Now, location has something to do with it. And say you have $1,500 a month, $2,000 a month, you can literally live just about anywhere as far as any country in the world. It may not be right in the middle of, you know, like New York City or something like that. You know, you can find a spot and you can make it happen. I was watching this video about you can live in Thailand. Can you live in Thailand on $500 or $600 a month? And the people in the comments were just all over the maps. You know, you've got the people that live in a hotel room and eat noodles and, oh, I can do it on $400. So you got people in the comments saying pretty soon it's going to cost $2,000 to live in Thailand. This is a place that has been cheap. I remember the first book I ever read about, I walked away, I walked to Thailand. This guy was living very well. This was 20 years ago. And now, you know, you're going to need $2,000. And the people in the comments saying how the first thing that's going to happen is, and everybody in Thailand, not picking on Thailand, this happens in Ecuador, Cuenca, Ecuador, Salinas, Ecuador, Thailand, Italy. This happens everywhere. You name all the top places that are all over being vlogged about on the internet, on YouTube, and you see people say the first thing that will happen is the foreigners know that they can rip you off. They will just overprice, overprice, overprice. You'll be paying 3 times what the locals pay. You won't even know it, and you know, and pretty soon it's a bubble. How do you stay out of that? I mean, this is the disappointing thing, and the thing that we have been watching for going on a decade since we went abroad, and we survived the bubble, the RAM-induced retire abroad media and magazines bubble of Cuenca, Ecuador in the 20-teens. You know, we went through that, we watched this all take place. We were spending time with expats one-on-one every week, helping them find locally priced rentals at that time. But you know, the world's a big place and there's lots of vloggers out there. The world has changed. This is the age of the internet, the information society, and there's just overload, information overload. And that's part of the problem. You're seeing all these places just going into bubble mode sooner or later. And you have people like the Pied Piper just following everybody to the same places. And I'm saying that we're no longer going to play that game. We haven't been playing that game now for quite some time. That's why you see in our videos, the last thing we want to do is say, hey, move to Malta. It's great, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, it's cheap. The last thing we want to do is do all that, because first off, we're not the first people that have gone to Malta. Malta, it's got lots of tourism and it's plenty expensive. But if we wanted to live there, we could easily do it. The first decision is finding out, do I really want to live there? So you've got all these people chasing this, you know, fool's gold of, oh, where can I go live cheap? You know, and that just doesn't last. You know, it lasts for a brief amount of time, but if everybody is talking about come here and it's cheap, it won't stay cheap. So I'm saying that the way to get to the bottom of this thing is to stay in control and take responsibility. There's not just one way to do this, and the way that everybody is doing it may not be really the best way. It's just something that doesn't really work for very long. Okay, so for us it works. Everywhere we go we make it work. So there are clearly techniques and strategies there that we use, and we can share. That's why you don't see us anymore like when we were in Malta making video. We weren't saying all these wonderful things because we're not promoting Malta, because it's not about Malta. I mean, it's about Malta. If I want to live in Malta long term, I can do it, and so can you. But you don't have to have any concern over the prices that other people pay, because the majority of these other people are inexperienced. They're inexperienced, live abroad people. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different result, right? So you've got people that live in the same place for 20 years, but they lived in the same place the same way, you know, on a tourist level. So it's not necessary to do things in such a way that are not sustainable for you in the long run, you know, because unsustainability for your retirement check is a bad thing. What you want for your retirement, whether you're FIRE, because FIRE people are also on a, let's say, salary. It just comes from investments. Whether your money comes from investments or government pension or Social Security, doesn't really matter, because it's coming from somewhere, and in most cases it's a fixed amount. And even if it's not a fixed amount, like from investments, you still want it to be a fixed amount. A lot of people know that their investments will last longer if they make their withdrawal a fixed amount and they don't increase it too much. What I'm saying is that it's detrimental to that idea, to early retirement, to participate in these bubbles and to move abroad and move around to different countries in such a way that is detrimental to your long-term ability to do what you want to do. That's what we're talking about. That's why we're here. That's why you see us doing it. So now it's your turn. So things aren't as they seem when we go abroad. It's not as simple as just getting a local friend or asking. In some of these places there's a us versus them mentality. You know, there's a us locals, and then there's them, the foreigners, and that's you and me. Especially in Latin America, but it develops also, I'm sure, in Asia and a lot of other places. You really have to be wise as serpents, and I don't know that serpents are wise, and gentle as doves. It takes more than just doing it the way you're hearing foreigners tell you. There's more to it than that. You know, you're not getting the whole story. You're not getting the whole story. And so how do we counterbalance that? Well, we counterbalance it by taking responsibility, knowing what to do and how to do it, being in the driver's seat, taking control. It's not a question of budget, it's a question of living abroad, moving abroad, retiring abroad smartly. Initially, your $1,500 retirement may be enough. Initially, your $2,000 retirement may be enough. Your $2,500 retirement may be enough. Your $3,000 retirement may be plenty. But there comes a time that after a little while, as people participate in this crowd way of doing things, you know, with all of the ways we talk about, with the people going to the same places, watching the same videos, what happens is that 3,000 is no longer ample. It starts getting tight. 2,000's not enough. 1,500's not enough. you know, people talk in the fire community about not wanting to, you know, wanting to be sure they're not going to outlast their money. Well, what quicker way is there to run out of money in your retirement than to have super inflation creep destroying your purchasing power when you go abroad? You know, super inflation creep means, and by the way, the inflation abroad is higher. In the States, you've got the steady 2-3%, which people are predicting 3%, but whoop-de-doo, you go to Ecuador, it's 5-6%, and that's the normal low rate, which is twice as much as in the States. So when you add the foreigner and gringo gouging aspect to this, it goes way beyond 5 and 6%. We've seen this with our own eyes for years, okay? It goes into the double digits, multiple double digits on a yearly basis. You don't want this, believe me when I tell you. Lots of people left Ecuador when this bubble was happening, and it happens in all these places. I hear lots of people are now leaving Thailand. So we don't want this super inflation. This is not even US inflation, and it's not even abroad stable 5-6% inflation according to their history. It's even higher than that because of the bubble making retire abroad crowd, YouTuber, vlogger, blah, 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 foreigner, price gouging, bubble. It all just culminates into you having to leave early or running out of money, or just not really having the kind of lifestyle that you had wanted to have without lowering your standard of living. You don't want to go backwards and lower your standard of living. We're not talking about that. Lots of people all over on some of these videos, oh, I can do this, I can live on blah, 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 but they, you know, that's not what we're talking about. We see this all the time. People contact us and say, oh, just get a efficiency, you know. Do you see us, if you have been watching our video, ever live in an efficiency? We always have 3 and 4 bedroom houses or apartments furnished and unfurnished at the local rates. Look, if you want to live in an efficiency, more power to you, but I'm just saying we don't want to go backwards and lower our standard of living in order to make our lifestyle come about.
So we ordered mint tea.
That's real mint. I mean fresh, like a plant.
Yeah.
Not dried. And
The
you can
herb.
really smell it. It smells like...
Oh, it smells delicious, but it's steep in there for a little bit.
Yeah.
Chicken soup. How's the chicken soup, hun?
Really tasty.
Georgian chicken soup.
One of the best. So the place to get...
This is traditional Georgian. It's a dumpling with meat in it, okay.
And it's got some juicy stuff in it.
Is that egg cooked?
Yeah, it's cooked, but it's kind of a little bit soft.
I'm gonna take it out with my spoon. I probably won't eat the egg.
I wonder what the base of this was. Was it butter?
Where are we going, Frank?
Marashvili. All roads lead to Marashvili.
All roads lead to
Marashvili.
Marashvili. Okay. So anybody who asks on our YouTube channel in the comments where we're going, Marashvili. See you there.
We're in Rustaveli because it's red, and the next stop is Marjanashvili.
Okay.
So please thumb up the video if you liked it, and subscribe and click on notification bell. Thanks for supporting the channel and the algorithm, and have a wonderful day.